I want to give a review about this game. Um, I'm about to praise the shit out of this game because let me tell you something. This game, there's gonna be spoilers for sure. This game might be the best Resident Evil game ever made. It's just, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. I'm 100% in the honeymoon phase right now. I just beat the game. But this game, I said this at some point while I was playing that the very first early rumors that I was hearing very early on about what Resident Evil 9 was going to be was that it was going to be the final Resident Evil game, kind of to just wrap up everything over the last 30 years. And with that rumor included appearances by Chris, Jill, Leon, like all the classic characters from back in the day. And that didn't happen. But in terms of this being the final Resident Evil as we know it, and that the series was going to just be something else from this point on, it felt like they took that approach in the sense that like this was going to be the finality of everything, so we have to go out with a fucking blast. Like we have to go out and make it so that like like we're gonna fucking do our best and just throw everything that we possibly can to make this the greatest possible game ever. Like in that sense, it feels like they did that. This game had everything. This game had everything. This game had the style of Resident Evil 7 with Grace combined with like RE2 remake, and then the other half is like RE4 with Leon, and both were done extremely well. I want to talk about Grace's part. Grace, playing as Grace was the survival horror aspect of the game, and that aspect was done extremely well. I'm talking about the survival horror aspect of it. The survival horror really had me feeling it. Like for the first couple of hours playing as Grace, I could not for the life of me, never had enough inventory space. I ran out of ammo completely multiple times. I am playing the game with no ammo. That does not happen to me in survival horror games. Here, I'm going through entire segments of the game. I have no ammo. I have nothing. I have nothing. I'm finding makeshift knives and I'm like, oh my God, I have a makeshift knife. I would find two bullets and I'm like, yes, I'm cherishing these two bullets. Oh my God, I'm gonna use these two bullets to the fucking best of my ability. Like, oh my God, these two bullets are gonna get me through this shit. Like, I was acting like I was in a cage, locked away with no food, and then after a week, somebody threw me a cracker, and I was like, yes, I got a fucking cracker. I have a cracker. Yes. Oh my God, this is gonna be the fucking best cracker ever. That's how I was treating these two bullets, and then I would miss. I would miss. All right, it came down to where I had to use the two bullets, and I'm like, I'm gonna use these two bullets. I got these two bullets finally, and I miss, and then it's like, oh no, I would miss. Now I'm back to nothing again, and then I would have to run away. And like I got to a point, I was like, I can't even bother trying to kill these things. I have to find ways to avoid engaging the enemies and going around finding resources. Any little thing would help, and I haven't felt survival horror hit like that ever. I think this is the best survival horror Resident Evil game for that reason. Even in 7, like I didn't run out of ammo. I didn't run out of resources. I ran out of resources in this game. I was doing all right with the herbs, kind of, but like I was running low on that shit all the time. It took like towards the end of the hospital, like the last like 30, 45 minutes of that where I'm like, okay, I got hella bullets now. I had like 20 bullets. That was it. But that was a lot for that. The survival horror aspect was very good. Shit was very scary in there too. The bitch, the that big bitch that chases you around, that's scared of the light. The first thing that you run into when you play as Grace in the beginning of the game, that shit was terrifying. I didn't like that bitch. I didn't like her at all. Scary as hell. Every time she showed up, I'm like, mm. But yeah, the whole thing with the flashlight, like there's some areas where you don't need the flashlight, you could turn it off, and then when you get to a dark area, you turn the flashlight on yourself. Always low on ammo, always low on inventory space. My God, every time I found a hip pouch, I was like, yes. Two more open spaces was like gold. It was ridiculous. It was very well paced. I like the puzzles. The level design was dope. And when the part where you're just like underground and you have to keep taking the thing out of the electrical thing that powers that area of the basement, and you got to take that and bring it to another area to power that area, and then you got to bring one from one area to another area to power that so that you can get the thing over there to take that and then bring all them shits back to open the cell doors to get to that whole level was fucking fantastic. The level design in this game for both characters was immaculate. It was super well done in my opinion. Whatever. It got to the point where when I went into this game, I thought, like a lot of people probably thought, that you're going to be playing as Grace and you're going to be like, yeah, all right, but when are we going to get to Leon? And then you get to Leon and you're like, fuck yeah, Leon. And you're playing and it's fucking dope because it's Leon. And Leon is Leon. It got to the point where I'm playing as Grace. I'm loving this shit so much. And you switch to Leon. And I'm like, no, I don't want to switch to Leon right now. We can do Leon. Let me go back to Grace. The Grace shit is fucking great. Why are we switching back to Leon right now? Right now? And it's so great that that's how I feel. That the Grace part wasn't trash or it wasn't like filler. It wasn't something that as you're playing it, you're just like, all right, this is kind of cool, but I just want to go back to Leon. Like, no, I embraced every Grace part. And then when it did go back to Leon, the Leon part is, of course, fun. That's not even a question. That's not even something we have to discuss. I will, but you don't have to discuss that. And then when it switched back to Grace, I was like, yeah, we're playing this Grace again. Like, it wasn't like, oh, now I gotta play as Grace. I don't want to play as Grace again. Like, it wasn't like that for me. And I love that. Leon, Leon is fucking dope. He just is. The combat in this game, I like the hatchet. The hatchet was great. The scrape, fixing that shit instead of it breaking, and you got to get a new one or nothing, none of that shit. You don't have to pay to repair it like you did in 4 remake. They took 4 remake and they was just like, let's take little things and just improve on the little things, but keeping it at its core element. And they did. I feel like Resident Evil 4 remake was a test run of how they wanted to make Leon in Resident Evil Requiem to a degree, and it worked. It worked. Leon segments were exactly what I was expecting. I had high expectations, and those high expectations were met. It was absolutely fun playing as Leon. The enemies in the game are amazing. All of them. All of them. The zombies in this game are some of the best zombies in the series for 2 reasons. One, we got something that we haven't seen in Resident Evil before, where there was zombies that were kind of still holding on to their consciousness to a degree, at a very low degree, but to a degree. They say words. We've never seen that before in a Resident Evil game. We have that like in Resident Evil 4 with the enemies talking and shit like that, but we don't have that was different, right? And here, like these are clearly like zombies. They want to eat me, right? The enemies in Resident Evil 4 did not want to eat you. They just wanted to kill you. They just wanted you dead. And just bringing that new aspect to this. It's fucking amazing. The fact that they don't like light and they always try to go to the nearest light switch to turn off the light. And then you can use that tactically to your advantage. It took me a while to catch on to that because I'm slow. I'm dumb. That's why. But that was fucking great. The big monsters in the fucking hospital, the big baby with the tidy whities, the fucking the fucking little girl that turns into a fucking the monster, which you don't know that at the time, but that's what it is, wearing the nightgown and shit. The big chef guy, that motherfucker. Yeah, that whole everything, the level design, everything about Grace. Grace's. I have no complaints about Grace's side of the game when it comes down to it. So real quick, I want to talk about how there's the choice of playing with either character in first person or third person. And I said once I learned that you can do that before the game came out, I was already like, I'm playing as Grace in first person, I'm playing as Leon in third person. And apparently, the entire internet agreed that that's the way they were going to play the game. I don't like when people say that, like, no, you have to play Grace as first person and you have to play as Leon in third person, or you're playing it wrong if you're not playing that way. Fuck you. Fuck you. The reason why there's a choice is for people to have their own preference. And I have my own. And it just so happens that most people agree with my preference. But I think playing as Grace in third person is absolutely fine. And I don't really think that it's going to make much of a difference. I haven't done it yet. I am going to do that on my second run. But I will say, playing as Leon in first person view, I think it's going to be some bullshit. And I'm not even going to attempt it because I had a glimpse of that when I was playing as Leon in third person, and I put the dot sight on my handgun and the dot sight on my shotgun. When you aim the gun, it goes into first person view, and it did not feel good. I immediately took that shit off both weapons. I'm like, nah, I don't like this first person view. Trying to shoot these zombies and playing as Leon. I'm like, no, Leon doesn't feel good. Some people might like it. Some people might only prefer that. Whatever. I'm not gonna tell them that they're wrong. But I will say they wildin'. If that's your preferred method of playing with Leon, or third person's where it's at for me. Going back to Raccoon City, bro. The fact that Raccoon City is even still standing because it is still standing, and it's not supposed to be. It's not. In both Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 3 Remake, I believe, at the end when the missile comes down and blows up Raccoon City, like you see that everything is completely wiped off the map. They turn Raccoon City into a fucking parking lot. The buildings get completely eviscerated, demolished, destroyed 100% completely. But in this game, almost every building, for the most part, is pretty much still standing. Some buildings are knocked over, but for the most part, the city is still there. All the buildings are still there. There's serious structural damage to a lot of things, but my point is that the fact that it's still there, it's not, there should be nothing there. It should be flatlands. But I'm still glad that they did this because it was dope going back to that anyway. So I can look past that. But I'm definitely sitting there like, ain't none of this shit supposed to be here. There's supposed to be nothing here. So it's weird. Whatever. I know both RPDs from the original and the remake, RE2 remake, by heart. I can draw a map with my eyes closed of the entire police station, both of them. Going back into going back into the police station, I was like, oh, I know where everything is. I know where the rooms are. I know all that shit. And it was dope seeing it in that condition and going through it and being like, oh my God, there was where I picked up an herb. There was where I picked up some ammo one time. There's where I got this. This is where I read that. And then let me tell you something. When the Nemesis showed up, I had a I had a visceral reaction. Did I say Nemesis? I meant to say Mr. X. When Mr. X showed up, brother, I froze in my chair. I froze in my chair. All of the PTSD came back from my playthrough of RE2 Remake, my first ever playthrough back in 2019, because that motherfucker had me fucked up. That thing was the most terrifying thing I ever came across in a video game at that point in time. My heart could not stop racing, having that motherfucker hunt me down. And when he appeared on screen so fast too, by the way, when he shows up, I reacted the same way Paul Rudd reacted when he saw Michael Myers up close for the first time in Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. Like I was frozen because all that shit came back all at once. That feeling from the first time seeing him and running away from him and dealing with him in RE2 Remake. Holy shit. Once the chase started, I got right back in it. I was like, all right, we're good to go. I'm good. This motherfucker here. I've done this before. And I do. I can play RE2 Remake right now and just toy around with the tyrant, with Mr. X. It's nothing. Because I know exactly how he works. I know all his moves. I know what rooms he can go into and where he can't. So it's fine. But for a second there, it was 2019 me again. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like I just froze there. That whole shit was dope. I thought when you leave the police station, that was gonna be it. And then no, he shows up and you have another boss fight. I was like, oh, we're gonna run it back? We're gonna run it back with another boss fight? Let's go. And it was final phase Tyrant too. And it was fucking dope. I killed him with the sniper rifle mainly because I forgot that I had Requiem. The whole Raccoon City segment of the game was just fucking fire. The lab section was dope. I think the level design, again, I keep going back to level design. The level design for everything was just top notch. Everything about the level design was fucking fantastic. No complaints there whatsoever. When I got to the end, just now in this stream, this motherfucker, the the choices that they have you make between fucking destroy Elpis and release Elpis, I was like, what is this? Right? And they went there to destroy Elpis. So I said, all right, I'm gonna choose destroy Elpis. When I tell you, when I tell you how my heart almost fucking blew out of my chest when Zeno killed Leon, which I was not expecting at all. It felt real. It felt like I was trying to rush through this game. Not rush through it, but I was trying to play it as much as possible to beat this game before I start running into any spoilers. And I didn't run into any spoilers, thank God. The game's been out for 8 days, and my algorithm is full of this game, and I didn't see that. So that shit hit me when he killed Leon. I was like my jaw dropped for like a whole minute. Like I didn't even. I was that shit fucked me up. That shit fucked me up. I'm like, yo, I wonder what's the percentage of players that have chosen to destroy Elpis, like as their first choice, because that shit was not cool. I thought we were gonna start playing as Grace. I thought Grace was gonna start trying to fight this dude. I thought like the game was gonna continue, and then it goes to credits right there, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a completely different outcome. I knew it right then. I skipped the credits. Fucking thing pops up that says, if you want to go right back to when before she made that decision to destroy or release Elpis, you can. And I'm like, yeah, see, there you go. All right, motherfuckers. But oh man, it was brutal seeing a character like Leon get killed like that. I was like, yo, like this is not how he's about to go. Like he really. And the funny thing is that there was a lot of people speculating that Leon might die in this game. That would have been a mistake. That would have been a big mistake had they fully committed to that because Leon is too beloved to do that too. They would have we would have had another like Joel situation from The Last of Us Part Two for sure. Leon is too liked for you to just take him out like that. The only way you can take out a character like that is if in the marketing you promote it as it's going to be Leon's last game, and you're leading the marketing with he could very well die in this game, you know, but not just you didn't really market that even though he had the T virus mutation shit and he was getting sick and the blotches on it, all of that shit. Still didn't really go into it thinking that he was gonna die. So that yeah, that reaction was that was I was like, brother, what the fuck? Fucked me up. I was like, nope, we're gonna go back. We're gonna make the other decision. The other decision of so it was just all a fake out. It was just Capcom being a bunch of dickheads. Really, at the end of the day, when you think about it, they were like, we're gonna fuck them up because even Leon said, we're here to destroy Elpis. Just put in the wrong thing, and Elpis will be destroyed. And you're thinking, okay, well, that's why I'm here. That's the thing that I have to do, right? So you do that. The other decision is clearly the canon path because there's much more to it. There's the final boss fight, and yeah, what Elpis ended up turning out to be, I didn't really see that coming, but it was cool. It was fine. I like that it brought Leon back. 100% Leon. I was like, oh, it's over now. I knew he was at 100% when he fucking jumped off the thing and there was like a 20-foot drop and he didn't even do like a roll when he dropped, when he landed. He like just stood there like, boom. I was like, oh, we at 150% Leon right now. It's a wrap, nigga. You about to get your ass whooped. Ending was cool. I would have liked to have seen Chris. Let's talk about what I would have liked, right? And these, if there has to be a negatives section, this would be it, even though I don't think any of these things are actually a negative. It's just a preference of what I would have liked. And not everybody might feel this way. And one of which is Chris himself showing up would have been nice and not Umber Eyes communicating to Chris that, he found Leon and Grace. I would have liked to see Leon and Chris reunite. But bigger than that, uh, the boss fight, the hand to hand boss fight with what I'm assuming is Hunk was dope. That fight, the design of the fight, the location of the fight, the way it all played out was really fucking cool. But that soldier was unidentified, and that's my problem. Because I guarantee you, every Resident Evil fan is assuming that that's Hunk. Because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? That had to be Hunk. And I would have liked that confirmation. That's where my issue is. I would have liked the confirmation that that was Hunk. I don't know all of Hunk's lore, to be honest, but I know he's this long-lasting mythical character in the series. He's been around since Resident Evil 2. So to wrap him up, to have Leon pack him up was great, and to have that confirmation that that was indeed Hunk would have made it that much better. And I really wish they would have did that because they're kind of leaving it open. I don't know what that was at the end there. That was like an end credit scene. I forget where it looked like other soldiers that are with Hunk's unit, like dressed like him, show up to his body. I'm assuming that's what that was, and they're making it seem like they're gonna recover him for whatever reason. But I don't know. I just would have liked that confirmation. The other thing is Zeno himself. Zeno is absolutely Wesker. From the way he looks, the sunglasses, just the everything, the fucking hair, the way he talks, the way he moves when he gets shot at on that fast. That's all Wesker, RE5 Wesker. and it's so obvious. And I just wish that they got into that more. The closest was towards the end when Victor Gideon. I gotta talk about Gideon. When Gideon was saying that he was just that Zeno was just an imitation, and I took that as an imitation of Wesker. Like whatever they did to him is the same thing they did to Wesker, because he had all of he was just Wesker with a different name and a white jacket. Other than that, he was Wesker. Like he was just straight up Wesker. And I just wish that they would have just said that. Just say that. And I know that like they don't need to say that, but I would have liked to them for them to say that because I like having confirmation. Because what else is he supposed to be? How else are you supposed to take him? We didn't get a Zeno boss fight either. That I would have liked. I would have liked to have fought and taken out Zeno himself. There was a lot of boss fights in this game. Let's get to that. There was a lot of boss fights in this game. I don't think there were any boss fights with Grace, but Leon got all the boss fights, and the boss fights were dope, and they were happening pretty frequently. It felt like so. Yeah, I was fucking with that. The boss fights was great, from the big ass spider to the big baby that you fought in the hospital with Leon, like in the attic area where he's just like breaking through all the fucking walls and stairs and doorways and shit. That was fucking dope. That was fucking amazing. The fight with Hunk was dope. Like all this shit. All the boss fights were good. The final boss fight was like, it was just like another like RE3 remake Nemesis final boss fight. It was pretty much exactly that for the most part. Didn't really care for that. I liked the first phase of the fight much more, where Gideon was still Gideon. But yeah, other than that, all the boss fights was dope. I wish we had a Zeno boss fight though. That was the only thing. But watching Leon fight Zeno in cutscenes was still amazing. You know? Oh, the boss fight with the tyrant. Yeah, that's another boss. Like these boss fights were fucking dope. They're fucking dope. But those are pretty much the only things that I'm just like being nitpicky on. Like I wish we had the confirmation that Zeno is like a Wesker clone. The confirmation about Hunk being that 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 being Hunk. Just that was indeed Hunk. Because that guy acted like he knew who Leon was, and he stepped up like he was some kind of not a necessarily a super soldier, but like he was the best of the best of what they had. We had human enemies for the first time in Resident Evil. I don't ever recall ever fighting human like normal people with machine guns and fighting these soldiers. I couldn't believe that. There was so much shit in this game that just made it feel like they were putting in the effort like as if this was the last game and they needed to go out with a bang. I don't believe it's the last game. Now, having played it and finished it, I don't believe that that's the case. It was probably just a rumor, and that's probably as far as it goes. But the way this game played out like as if it was going to be the last game of the series, and they needed to make it the best possible. They wanted the fans to be happy at the end of this because they had everything. You have a whole like 9 hour survival horror and like 9 hour action horror part of it. Like they separated that, and the survival horror part is done extremely well. The action part is done extremely well. There's exciting parts. The music is great. There's great puzzles to solve. There's great action, weapons, and upgrades, and all this shit, and locations and fucking boss fights and the fucking motorcycle ride was just fucking epic. Like everything was just done so well. Let's talk about Gideon. Gideon, that motherfucker. Whoever played Victor Gideon did a fantastic job in his acting performance because Gideon was great. Gideon was just fucking creepy as shit. He was very just like that part where he's like, I've done it. I've done it. And just goes off like that was creepy as fuck. That was one of the most creepiest things I've ever seen. his acting, his performance when he's like talking to Leon when Leon's tied in the chair. He's getting like real close to him and like touching his face and all that creepy shit. Like Gideon was really good. Gideon was creepy. Gideon was creepy as shit. Very well done. That was a very good villain. Very good, well acted. Very good. Gideon was fucking. Ugh, hate that motherfucker. Being around him, creepy ass, psycho, crazy ass motherfucker. But that was pretty much it. If I have to give this game a score, I don't even know. It's as close to a 10 as it could possibly be. Right? And again, I'm in the honeymoon phase of this game. I just beat the game. You can see it on the screen, but man, it's hard to like this is like definitely this is better than RE2 remake. This is better than 7. This is better than Village. The only one that I would put this up against is RE4 remake, which I do like more than the original. Sorry, but I do. And RE4 was is pretty much my all-time favorite, but the remake is just it's the remake. It's just it's so fucking good. But I have a hard time just immediately saying that this game is not better than 4 remake because there's so much more to this game than the 4 remake aspect of it. The 4 remake aspect of this game is only half of it. The other half is a combination of RE2 remake and 7, right? So, what are we talking about here? I would have to say that is this game. As of right now, I'm gonna say this game is the best Resident Evil game ever, ever, which is crazy. That's crazy to say. I can't believe I just said that because I was definitely not expecting to jump to that conclusion so early. But I don't know. I gotta play this game again and again and again because this shit was fantastic. I have I have no major complaints about this game. Like everything felt good, everything felt polished, everything felt fun as shit, right? Even the story of this game, which Resident Evil, the story in Resident Evil games is not really like that in depth, right? Ever, right? I think 7 and maybe Village is like the ones that like kind of have the best like in-game story, really. Um, but this is up there with that. I would put this up there with that. The mystery of everything, of why Grace is so important, of Victor Gideon, of Elpis, the fact that Leon came into the game already sick. All that shit was just wild. Having to go back to Raccoon City, dude. We went back to Raccoon City. Like, what are we talking about? Like, yeah, yeah. This is easily a top 3 for sure. I'll give it that. Let's stay with that. That's a top 3. I have to like wait for the honeymoon phase to pass, and then I can make a proper judgment. Because right now, I want to say this is the best game, easily. There's no way around that.